Hi
Everybody in here?
guys.
Hey,
Hi.
hey. So welcome to Third Thursday. We're here without Andrew, who's out of town at the moment. This is the CDBG team. If you haven't seen us before, my colleagues Tim, Jenny, Sandy, and Jen. I'm Jason Teal. I'm one of the project managers. We have fellow project managers here as well. We're going to talk to you a little bit about various happenings in the CDBG program. I know we just finished our 2025 season with awards. So we'll have some summary slides on that as well. And then we'll talk about our 2026 funding round for people who are interested. I'll take my cups off the table. Let me click on the right window there. All right. So on today's agenda, we are again talking about the summary of our 2025 awards. We're going to give some program updates and just talk about some changes in program from last year. And then, of course, we'll just do some basic reminders and announcements for our program. My colleague Jen did a good service and made us this map of distribution of CDBG projects from 2025. So you can get a nice graphic there to look at. Again, we will send out these slides after this meeting, so you'll have access to this map. You don't have to memorize it right now. Here's a summary chart of our 2025 awards by program. You can see community facilities again ranks among our top priorities. So we had 27 projects for about 12 million between large and small. Commercial rehab coming in there with nine, about $3 million. Economic development had two projects this year. Youth job training, we had one project. Water and sewer infrastructure, six projects, a nice sturdy program for our fund. And then we had a couple of urgent need for disasters and housing rehabs as well. So you can just see the distribution of our projects this year. Kind of similar across years. We do set our funding buckets pretty regularly towards those dispersals. So just some pre-application guidance for our 2026 funding round. Last year, we had started our pre-application process where you pre-apply to get approval to then complete a full application for the CDBG project that you are proposing. So we will just go over what pre-applications are and what those entail for those who are new and those who did not undertake that process last year. We do want to encourage, before you would ever go forward with the pre-application, to perhaps reach out to one of our project managers, me, Jenny, or Tim, to talk about your project. So that way we can understand that and maybe guide you in crafting your pre-application beyond just your general know-how. So again, just want to encourage you to reach out to any of us on the team so that way we can get you answers rather than you going ahead in the dark fog alone. So pre-application is open. We do have a new link. It's on the website. You can click through it and find that pre-application real easily. Again, you do need to submit a pre-application for, I believe, all programs except urgent need this year. So that is a change. Last year we had it for a select number of programs, but now we do have commercial rehab and housing rehab involved. We will have the actual program guidelines up later, I believe, in January. They are still pending approval from leadership, so they're still in that phase. But once we publish those, we will send those out, and you guys will rock with all the new text that we put in those PDFs. So just a little outline of what a pre-application is. Again, we're screening project concepts for basic eligibility requirements. We want to make sure that applicants have the best applications to put together and most viable projects available for program application. We want to provide early feedback often and talk to the communities who want to do these projects, because we do want to see these projects meet your community needs and also, fall under the CDBG regulations as well as we can. And of course, just generally, we want to qualify or improve the quality of our applications coming in. Again, this pre-application review is not approval for funding. It is non-binding. It's advisory only in concept. We do want to meet you before you would submit a full application, because a full application is quite an undertaking with all the processes they have to do, such as public hearing and other forms that you have to fill out and associate with your project. So we don't want you to go through all those steps and then find out that you put in a bad application, a project that's ineligible for CDBG funding. So we want to meet you at the beginning when you're first starting to think about this program and what it could do for your community. Uh, yeah, so it's not scored or ranked. It's simply qualitative feedback. And typically, either you get the approval to move forward with the full application, or you might have a follow-up meeting or need to provide revisions to a project manager who would then be able to put that in context.
So one thing, as Jason said, the purpose of the pre-application, it is not to be your first step towards doing application.
Yeah.
Just make sure, like you said, that you talk to us, because last year there was a little bit of confusion. People thought that when they filled out the pre-application, it was their initial discussion with us about a project. But we are using this more as you've already talked to us. We already know where your project is, and then we're using this to kind of go over more details about the project to determine if you need help.
Thank you, Jenny. Just noting some common issues. Again, that assumption that it is your first meeting with us. The pre-application should be along the road to CDBG development, not at the beginning of the road. We do want to make sure that we are screening out any ineligible activities such as operation and maintenance of facilities. And then, of course, we want to narrow those project scopes and make sure that they fit within the confines of a 2-year grant cycle. Also looking at project readiness, such as match dollars, those things need to be set and secured for pre-application to receive full approval. So again, that conversation happens before pre-application even with us. Tips, again, just focus on clear scope, what a national objective is and what eligible activities we have for our programs. And then use our feedback to the fullest extent, because we are ultimately going to be the ones overseeing regulation of the projects and making sure that the communities are held responsible for those regulations. So we do want to make sure that we follow that road correctly and clearly, full way. When we were filling out pre-apps last year, we had some different responses. So we just want to show what these responses mean this year for 2026. So at the bottom, we'll have these 3 options that we check off. We'll have submit full application. Again, that's proceed in the current program year. We say that the pre-application has received the appropriate review from one of us on staff. So that would be the next, that's you met that checkpoint and you can move on. Need revisions, follow up. We want to allow you to proceed. We think the project's good in the rough, but we need follow up with an appropriate CDBG team member. We are not going to make you resubmit the pre-application, but we do need more context. We need follow-up. We need things to be clear and make sure that we understand where you're at on your project design before you would go forward. And then, of course, is the remaining ineligible for CDBG. So again, if your project just simply doesn't fit within regulations, or if we think that along the path to funding, you have a few things that aren't going to be set for that year, we may encourage you to delay that for a future year. But ineligible for CDBG fits kind of that response from us. So those 3 responses will be what you need. And then on the bottom of the pre-app, we'll also have a follow-up email that we check off so you can follow up with the appropriate project manager who's reviewing that. Just some program updates now. So that's pre-application. If you have any questions about that process, you can reach out to us and we'll direct you faithfully. But please do contact us to talk about your community needs.
All right, so we're going to talk about some changes that are happening. The deadlines and application dates are here. We have already opened our pre-app. I think we've got at least a handful of those in. First applications on Monday, March 2nd, 2026. That's when all applications will open, and everything is going through Salesforce, no longer using Submittable for the few programs that we did last year. Pre-application deadline, September 15th. That's kind of your last time that you have an opportunity to do a pre-app. And the last opportunity you have for a public hearing is going to be that September 24th of 2026. For the notice, and the hearing is going to be September 30th to be able to meet those deadlines that we require you to have. So the final deadline is going to be Friday, October 16th. That's our last day that the grants will be accepted, and they'll close on that date. It's still continuing to be an open round. We will review them each month as they come in. The new thing here is down at the bottom is the pre-applications. You're used to a lot of those already from last year. However, this year we are also including commercial rehab, economic development, housing. Youth top training, we did do that last
Mhm.
year. So those three are the new ones. And the only one that's not requiring a pre-application is urgent need. It should move along quickly. So the available funding per the program, again, the majority of our funding is going to the blueprint to build down at the bottom. That funding will continue to be available and open until expended. Other than that, our community facilities tends to be our larger category with 7.6 million available. Our match again depends on whether it's a large or small, 20% for the large, 10% for the small. Commercial rehab was 1.2 million allocated, 25% match. Economic development has 750,000 allocated with a 50% match, and housing rehab 1.2 million. That's that increase from last year. The only requirement really is the environmental review record as ERR. Regional water 2 million, water infrastructure 1.5 million, and you got a little bit for urgent need and youth job training. So review 15th of each month. We've got a couple weeks that we're going to review those. They're due on the 15th. We will get you your responses back within that time frame. Should be a very quick review. The other ones that maybe take a little bit more for us to review and go through will take 30 to 45 days. You can look at your program guidelines to find out how long they'll take. Commercial rehab, economic development, housing, and then blueprint to build, the more complicated programs that we have out there. As always, we want you to kind of hold back on doing your press releases. So we want to be able to advertise the announcements ourselves. And then once that's done, you can certainly go out, announce it to your council, announce it in the paper, et cetera, et cetera. All right, blueprint to build reminders. So we did move the population minimum back to 1,500. The amount available for each of them, I think, has gone up from last year. So 2.5 for small, 3.25 for medium, and 4 for large. Obviously, the match is going to depend on the community center, what cost it is, et cetera, et cetera. I think we have that in the next slide that shows that. You guys, as the community, need to provide those remaining funds to make the project work. In any adjustments that you want and furnishing it and et cetera, et cetera. And again, like I said prior, this one will remain open until funding runs out. So giving you some visuals on what kind of match requirements we'd be looking at to be able to do that. The larger you go, the more local matches needed. You guys can read that and see that, but just gives you an idea of what your responsibilities are if you decide to go down a B2B. Commercial rehab, we had a few changes on this. We are really not a change. We're trying to tighten up a little bit some of our eligible use of funds, particularly around the idea of blight. So we want to make sure that we are addressing what is eligible, what is not eligible, trying to make it as black and white as we can and stay away from those gray areas. Public benefit test does apply if you're going to be doing LMJ, which is a job creation or job retention. Most of our commercial rehabs follow that blight. And we have a blight checklist that's based on Kansas law that we're going to include in your application for that. And we're also going to ask you to identify those project line items that are going to be blight removal. I don't want to try to do that myself. I'd rather have you provide that to me in application. We did update some things in the large grants. We changed our population maximums from 5,000 to 25. Down to 2,500. So that allows smaller communities to be able to tap into the larger funding amounts. Letters of support are still required, but we're not going to provide additional points. They're not bonus points for it. We kind of expect you to demonstrate that there's support and interest in the project coming along, so that it's no longer going to be additional. We have made the decision to remove pools as an eligible activity in 2026. Splash pads can be done as long as they're part of a park project and not a standalone thing. But we don't want to do the typical pool refurbishing or creating of pools any longer. And we are also discouraging anything with tourism or healthcare projects through our large grants. Again, this is really across the board, our letters of support. They're not going to be worth points. For all of our programs, again, it should be a standard thing demonstrating the need. Economic development, we did make a pretty significant change on this. Public benefit test. So we did talk about that. There's a couple different ways that you can meet that public benefit test. So there's new language in our guidelines about that. We have removed, used to be two kind of tracks that you could do in economic development. One being our traditional business finance loan where you could pretty much do anything you wanted to. It's a real traditional loan with mortgages or liens and collateral, et cetera, et cetera. And then the other one was our infrastructure improvement program. That's a public infrastructure to support business either coming or expanding. We have decided just to move away from the business finance component and only fund projects that are dealing with public infrastructure improvements supporting a business. That is a big change. But to be perfectly frank, all the projects that we've had over the last several years have been infrastructure improvement projects. So if you got anything in the works right now, that is a big change, let us know. But right now, the change has been made for 2026. We did change a little bit of our rating points to better represent kind of what we're looking to do. Project need, financial feasibility, project financial readiness, and ability to repay. This is a loan still. Although it is a very favorable terms on the loan, won't get into that. And that's pretty much the changes on economic development. Housing rehab, changed this one a fair amount too. We discontinued the neighborhood development component of housing rehab. So it is now housing rehab and demolition. It is no longer that infrastructure component that existed before. Partly the reason we did away with that is because we did away with the target area requirement. You are more than welcome to create a target area within your city that's less than your city boundaries, but it is no longer a requirement that you create a target area. So that target area and neighborhood development seem to work hand in hand with one another. We removed allowing 20% funds for emergencies. And the other big thing is that we removed requirements of communities going through the HAT process, the Housing Assessment Tool process. It is a very good process that forces the community to really understand the housing needs. But we really thought about it and determined that pretty much every small town in Kansas has a need for housing rehab for owner occupied housing. Now, if you want to develop it, or if you want to do rental or work with KHRC or some of our other funders, the HAT's still going to be required and is an excellent tool. We certainly would encourage you to do a HAT. We would take that HAT if you did it because it's going to demonstrate your needs, but it's no longer a requirement. Because of that, we changed kind of our rating matrices. So a project needs 25%. And then the last one, we kind of took out the HAT and went just to the housing log, which talks about pre-applications and who's interested in the project, the public participation, and we always want to know readiness to proceed. Oh, okay. So we did change regional water implementation from 2 years to 3 years. That project just takes so long to get going. Instead of doing time extensions and all that, we thought it just made more sense to extend the term of the contract. So 2026, there'll be 3-year contracts if you are going to fund a regional water. And then water and sewer, the max award went to a flat $800,000, not dependent upon population size, and that's going to be a $2,000 per beneficiary cap that you have to meet or demonstrate that you meet, which usually is not an issue or a problem. But that's going to be helpful for our smaller communities to be able to have, again, access to that larger dollar amount. I think that's, golly, we have so many changes. I keep thinking I'm done. Urgent needs. So we changed this to kind of make it go a little bit quicker. So we changed the matrix and we removed the requirement to finish the ER in 30 days. We also kind of shortened that public hearing timeframe down to the 5 or 7 days. An urgent need is an urgent need. We don't want to mess around with delaying things that may or may not need to be delayed. These are usually very succinct projects, and we only have a 1-year contract anyway. It's all quickly moving. And we're removing the restrictions for communities and time restriction or compliance issues. So if you are a community that happens to be in a time restriction that normally you would not be able to apply for another CDBG grant, we would not hold that against you for an urgent need because those are such unique situations and really don't have anything to do with your traditional programming. So don't worry about that. If you have an urgent need issue, you can apply without any restrictions as far as compliance or time extensions. And then lastly, youth job training, or maybe not lastly, youth job training. We are really kind of trying to pin down this concept of stipends. A lot of programs that have been proposed are including paying the students for training, which can be done, but it needs to be done in a specific way to be able to be adhering to CDBG rules. And then we also clarified what income documentation needed to be done, whether it's a direct benefit where we needed all the students to be 100% LMI, or whether it's kind of more of an indirect where we only need 51% of the students participating in the program. Get with us prior to pre-application or application to make that determination. And if you're going to be dealing with other entities or there's going to be other groups involved, we want these agreements done. And they are required to explain the interlocal, the subrecipients, the responsibilities between the different entities participating in the projects. And when it's not optional, we want to see that in your application. All right, I guess that was the last one. I'll turn it over to Jenny now.
Okay.
So we are going to have a few opportunities for some in-person grant administrator training. Jen has been reaching out to grant administrators, getting some feedback about some of the needs. But we are going to be having a training in person in Topeka at our lovely new building here at the docking building, February 17th through the 19th. We have not decided if we're doing all 3 days or if we're doing half days or all the details just yet. But we wanted to give you the date so that you can at least make arrangements on your calendars. And then if you have the opportunity where you need to maybe stay somewhere in Topeka, that you can make some lodging decisions. But more information will be coming about that. And then we are going to be continuing to do our office hours. However, we are going to do them the first Monday of every month and only doing them once a month instead of every 2 weeks. And the first day that we will start those is February 2nd. There is a link here. I believe that the link is also on our website, so you'll be able to get to it that way. And basically what the point of office hours is it's slightly different than what we're doing here, where we're making announcements or doing trainings or having special guests. But office hours is more about project specific questions or program questions that you've come up with over the month that you just need some clarification on. It's good to log in even if you don't have any questions, because you can hear other people's and then learn some of the things that others are working on. So just go ahead and put that on your calendar for next month.
And I'm going to just throw in there, we do this to specifically give you an opportunity to ask questions about your projects, but Jenny, Jason, and I are always available for phone calls or emails if you want to talk about a project. So this is just a formal opportunity for you to come and chat with us for a period of time.
All right. And I think that concludes our third Thursday. So again, we just want to thank you for coming here to this session, our first of the year. We look forward to seeing these pre-applications as they come through. And we will be in touch as your projects come through the pipeline. Let's check the chat. Oh, office hours again. What time is office hours? It's going to be 3 to 4 on that Monday, 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. Central Standard Time.
And it will be the same link throughout the entire year.
Yep. So you have to save one link.
Yep. Yeah. So not 100% positive it's on at this moment, but it will be uploaded.
And Marcy in the chat, we will be sending out these slides, so you'll get them as a PDF version. You'll be able to click on all the links and see all the graphics. So thank you for asking. And this recording will go online as well, so you'll be able to rewatch it at your leisure, your favorite podcast. But sorry, will you send out slides to all who participate? Yes, all participating parties today will get these slides. We'll go off the registration list. All right. If there's nothing else, we want to give you back your afternoon and thank you again for listening to our 2026 preview. And we look forward to working with your community.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks.